Welcome back to the Giants, guys. How about this offensive line? We're talking Daniel Jones, we're talking potential Pro Bowlers, and we give you a preview of the Seattle game. As always, follow these guys on Twitter.
Burn out. Woo! Guess what? We are back. Yeah, the Giants, guys. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
baby.
us. You're listening to Giants, guys. We are the podcast you love to hate. You're joining us as we go from first to third, and we are going to slide in head first. You know me. I'm Craig Santucci, your host of the Giants, guys, and of course, the owner and operator of NYGiantsRush.com. Now, you've missed this. I know. We had a couple of days off, right? Because Papa Pilgrim invited and had and delivered and all that great stuff with his beautiful wife, a new Giants fan into the family. We can all clap on that one, right?
Ryan is here. And while I didn't name him after Logan Ryan, I will be getting that jersey very soon.
Yes.
That is great.
So before we get too far into anything, congrats,
Thanks, man.
Jeff.
Thank you, guys.
We're all super excited for you.
Appreciate it.
So we're going to crank this thing up. So one thing the Giants have going right now is something that they haven't experienced in quite some time. It's called a winning streak. And while it feels good, there's a lot of work to do. So because we're the Giants, guys, we're going to dive into it. You know my guys. We've got Spiro. We got Michael Stewart. We got Jeff. And, of course, Mikey Fresh with his big guns and probably the cappuccino or whatever he's having. Oh, and a beard.
Espresso.
All right, so there you go, espresso. So I got my guys back in the building. Last week we had Lawrence Tynes. Next week we're going to have Rich Seubert in the building. Bang! So like I said, I'm constantly on it, people. How do you not love the Giants, guys? Get out there and subscribe on YouTube. Let's get rolling, gentlemen. I like to call this rest, Danielson. Rest. Because this is a little bit of This is a little bit of a touchy situation because we now see the value in our starting quarterback because he's basically slow. And by the way, don't get crazy. I didn't forget. Yes, the show notes are here. All right. I know people get crazy if I don't have my show notes. And I'll read right from them just in case, you want to know if I ever use these things. Jones has slowly made a lot of strides week after week. We can all pretty much agree with that. Brian Baldinger ranked, he was talking about top deep passers in the NFL. Jones was the top deep passer. It's a combination of different metrics and averages. Either way, the performance of Daniel Jones has skyrocketed, and has a lot to do with winning. When you win, you look at the goods, not the bads. And right now, Daniel Jones really feels like the franchise quarterback. He's delivering in many ways. But now with them on the sidelines, I also think maybe some of those naysayers may actually see the value in Daniel Jones. Spiro, I'm going to start with you. What you're feeling on Mr. Jones? Let's just start off. Give me a little bit about his play and what you think about, what it looks like without him.
It really stinks that he had to go down right now because he was ascending towards what we all wanted to see. Clean game, 3 clean games in a row. He's starting to chuck the ball down the field more with confidence, and even throughout that Cincinnati game, he was starting to throw the field down more. Throw the ball down the field more. Just missed Slate on a long touchdown pass. Arm strength looks there. I mean, it's such a shame because this Seattle game was shaping up to be a shootout, and it's one game that we were gonna count on DJ to go out and win the game for us, So listen, I'm worried that he's gonna try and be a hero and come back. I think he needs to sit out this week, and I wouldn't be surprised if he sat out maybe just to be cautious next week because, man, that high hammy, that's an issue up there, and he's a mobile quarterback. I'm worried. But I think this is why we got Colt McCoy, man. He's been in the league for how many years? He needs to just take care of the ball,
Forever.
be conservative. Yeah, and just do what you can do within the framework, run the ball, and leave it up to Colt to just not lose the game. So sit Danielson.
All right. Michael Stewart, what's your take here? How good has he looked the last couple of weeks? Really kind of shaping up to be something to be proud of. So, right. And even yet, Michael Stewart, what's really neat is how many people that were kind of on the fence all of a sudden now are like, wow, maybe maybe I should rethink my position.
Well, listen, you got to be patient with a young quarterback. And, I always said, you leave this guy alone. He's going to be good. He did have problems, like Jeff would say, his fumbling. I know that's an issue, and that was very frustrating. But I'm a little more patient of a person, so I knew just by watching his mechanics, this guy's for real. And you haven't seen anything yet, but I agree with Spiro. He definitely should not play. I don't even think next week. I have a feeling it's going to take a little longer because I've had that injury. And I'll tell you, bro, I couldn't even, if I took a wrong step, not even running, and he's going to be running for his life against Seattle if he plays that game. But it's a tough injury. It's a nagging one. It's a nagging. Now, Colt McCoy, he's been in the league for a while, but I worry about this game. I really think Seattle's is gonna really load the box on him and dare him to beat them with his arm. I think the Giants' running game is going to struggle a little bit in this game.
You think you like what you see, like the progression of him moving up in the pocket the last couple of weeks?
Oh yeah, very confident. The offensive line, did improve over the last few weeks. It's not a coincidence that he got better, had a little more time to throw the ball. It's amazing, a half a second more for a quarterback to go through his progressions and to think and to be able to react. It's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a great point. Fresh. I'm seeing a guy who's, as we talked about with Tynes, in the beginning of the season, he was a one-look QB, main receiver. He's slowly looking at 2. He's slowly looking at 3. He's climbing the pocket. His feet definitely don't look so antsy anymore. What do you like that you're seeing, Fresh? Like, are you – let's put the injury aside, but what did you see? What did you like?
Yeah, I think that goes hand in hand with the line, right? Early on, he was trying to maybe make too much happen early on because that internal clock was a little messed up because the line was still figuring it out. And you're right. Like, although he made a lot of good plays still early on when he was struggling, there were way too many poor plays that would hurt the team, the costly turnovers, and just not elevating like when he needed to. But in the last few games, you hit it on the head. Like, he's got a little more time. He's getting a little confidence. He finally has a little bit of a running game, some time in the pocket to scan the field, to let the receivers that can't get open try to get open a little bit. And he's playing really well. As far as the injury goes, if he risks, you got to protect him from himself. He's going to want to play. If he can significantly risk blowing the thing out and sitting down for the rest of the year by playing, that's a medical thing, that's a doctor thing, then obviously don't play him. But if he's good enough to play, even though he can't be mobile, and it can't pop his hamstring, and again, probably have to ask Smalls this, but I would say then let him go. It is going to be different even if he does play, because just the fact that the threat of the run makes defenses think, and that's not really going to be there. With him, I think winning the game's a long shot. With Colt McCoy, an even longer shot. So we'll see.
So, Jeff, as I mentioned, Brian Baldinger, who I absolutely love, was going through
the best.
Yeah, he's the best. He breaks the tape down better than anyone.
He breaks it down so well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. And he was breaking it down, and he was – and it slipped by for a little while, but the more I watched it, he said, hey, Jones is the right now the best deep passer in the game. Sure, he's got less completions and less touchdowns, but the average that they work with comes out and puts him at the grade the highest. One, did you expect anything like that? And two, I just want to talk to me about some of the throws he's making, because he seems spot on. He seems more confident, and I see him scanning the field where I didn't see that as much early on. So what's changed in the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's crazy to hear that he is the best deep thrower, because you think automatically, how is it not Pat Mahomes or Patrick Mahomes? I know he doesn't like Pat. Somebody like that, but he was finally playing the kind of football that we all hoped he would. The Daniel Jones truthers are now taking a victory lap because they saw this in him. And for me, it was always about the turnovers. The last 3 weeks, 0 turnovers, it equaled 3 victories. That's what happens when you have a good running game and a good defense. Those close games, you can't give free possessions. But I can't help thinking that for Joe Judge how disappointing this has got to be, because he's got to want a shot at a good team because we don't have the respect of the NFL yet, right? We're 4-7 and we're in a joke of a division. That's how the league sees the Giants. This was a real shot at a good team who everyone considers, a playoff caliber team that can make some noise in the playoffs. So that said, you do have to rest him. It's not a play-in game in a season with really high expectations. I think he has proven himself to be the franchise quarterback. You're not going to risk him blowing up a hamstring, which is so easily re-aggravated from anybody who's had that before. You can't trust it in the first week. It honestly, anytime I've done it, granted, I don't have the Giants training staff. It's at least a month before you can run full speed and not worry about this thing falling off again. So he needs to be careful with it, but if he can't plant and even throw, it's a no-brainer, even though he did look good at practice today, throwing the ball around. I don't know if you guys saw that tape, but there's no way he plays this week.
Did he practice in full?
No.
No,
He
totally
was
on the side, but he was planting. He was able to throw, and he's a young kid in his prime. He's going to recover fast, but you can't risk him.
You know what, Jeff? All good points. And it's not even, I don't even think it's the planning, it's the pushing off. I think he could probably gingerly, drop a 3-5 step drop like you saw today on the film you're referring to. It's the fact that when he needs to put the back foot in the turf and push off to get velocity on the ball, he'll wind up throwing 4 picks in the game because he's not going to be able to push off the back foot.
Yeah. And one more thing, because I know I was hard on Daniel Jones. I think Fresh said, it's a factor of having a run game. That changes everything in a solid offensive line. But seeing his comfort at the line of scrimmage, calling those audibles, which are turning into big plays, now he's looking like a quarterback. He's not just an athletic guy who has promise. That's being a quarterback now. So he's proven it to me. I've seen enough. He's a guy, take the quarterback out of the question and look at upgrading other positions.
Which is a great segue to what we would say the Wayne train. Let's talk a little bit about Gallman. What's really neat about Gallman is he has surprised a bunch of people. And what blows me away is every week, the Ram game, the Eagle game, now the Cincinnati game, he's an arm tackle away from breaking a huge run. Ugh. And this is not a guy known for his 4.4 speed, but he's seeing the field really well, right? He's running, again, everything is between the tackles. He's not a break outside guy, but he's really being patient. He's really finding the hole. He's got a pretty decent jump cut, and he's just motoring through. He's in 3 games. He's 3 arm tackles away from breaking a 35, 40-yard run. So really super surprised. Barkley's been chanting his name. Barkley's completely stoked that he's playing really well. Michael Stewart, what's your feeling on Gallman? Because right now it seems to be you've cemented a guy, as the number 2 when Barkley comes back, and the Giants are going to have to pay him.
Well, look, I'm happy for the guy. Playing in the NFL, I never did it, obviously, but, it's tough. It's tough, and he has a role, and this is his role to play when the star player, Barkley, is hurt. He's doing a great job. He's reading his holes. He's quick through the hole. I don't see him hesitating. And like you just said, between the tackles, he looks good. He does. Now, you say you got to pay him. I don't know what you mean by pay him, how much, but.
Just in general, he's going to be due a contract, right? So where last year he was in the doghouse, or to some people, like Lawrence said, he just was either, underused, ill-used, or something just didn't click with that coaching staff in Gallman. And now here we are looking at a guy who's, he's ripping off 70 to 80 yards a game, and he's close to breaking a big one, and he scores 5 touchdowns in 5 straight games. So he has to have a contract. I don't know how much, but he will get paid, and he will stay. Fresh. What's your thought on Gallman?
The initial reaction is that a running back could be, for the most part, interchangeable depending on the offensive line, and you've seen the line play a lot better. But when you peel back the layers, to be fair to Gallman, he's up there in the top of the league as far as rushing yards over expected, right? Based on after contact, he's always falling forwards. His vision is fantastic. You said that in the hole, he's not the fastest guy, but He knows where to go and seems to get the pace right too, to let the blocks develop, which is really underrated for him. But as far as paying him as a backup next year, I don't think another team's going to throw like a lot of money at him. So I do feel like we'll bring him back on a reasonable backup running back salary. So That's my take.
Yeah, no, that's right on. And as you were talking about the patience, as much as we hate Tiki Barber off the field, the best thing Tiki Barber had was the patience and the vision Barber had were second to none. Been watching this team a long time. And what made Barber so great was that he would just wait and hang out for that extra 2 or 3 tenths of a second and burst through a hole. Barkley still hasn't developed quite that yet because he's so fast that he's blowing by blocks. You know what I mean? Or he's not letting the lineman get to the second level, which by the way, probably would have came this year if he had 20 carries a game. But again, he's not there because he hasn't had those carries. Jeff, I mean, how much is a backup running back going to get?
That's what's tough is that every week he plays so well, he's increasing his price tag, and other teams are looking at him. He's pretty much proving that he's a starting running back in the NFL. But I said it last week, and I'll just say it again. You guys were right about Wayne Gallman, and I was wrong on this one. And I still don't know how you guys knew, but he's phenomenal. The guy's great. And like you said, he's this close to breaking one off. And like, I look at body language when I'm thinking about who I really like as a player and who I want back and things like that. He is pissed when he gets tackled and he knows he was close. And like, I love how he bounces up, smacks the football, and he's pissed off that he got tackled. Like, I like the guy. How much can you pay him? Because Barkley's going to have to get paid. You know what I mean? And Lawrence had a scorching hot take last week that Wayne Gallman might keep the starting job next year. I don't see how that happens, but
that's crazy
to keep. I mean, Barkley, I said it, he's got to be drooling looking at this O-line. So if you can figure out how to use both of these guys, man, is that good for the offense. And Wayne Gallman, I know he's boys with Barkley. Maybe they want to stay together. Maybe Giants give him a fair deal. I would love to keep him though.
Spiro.
Listen, it would take some serious cap magic for Abrams, because we talk about it every day. We got to sign Logan Ryan, Williams, Tomlinson. Peppers and Saquon are coming up for a contract. You can't pay everybody. And I love Gallman because it's not just last year's staff; it's the year before that too. He's every staff he's been with, they haven't given him a chance, and now he's got that chance. He's shining. And listen, the market's going to play out the way it's supposed to. If he wants to go start somewhere, and someone's willing to pay him that money, you say toodles. Good luck, and you hope for the best for him. But if nobody really sees him as a starter, and they think that this is the offensive line that's doing all this, then we might have a chance to sign him back, which would be pretty nice. But make no mistake about this. The offensive line is making this happen right now too. You see Alfred Morris out there making some plays, and he's chugging along. He's chugging along, and I know Gallman's better than Alfred Morris, but this offensive line is only going to get better and better as the weeks go on, in my opinion. And once Saquon's back, you kind of need just a guy that's going to get a couple snaps and not chug along and not lose pace. So unfortunately, Gallman, I don't think he's going to be back, just because you can't pay a backup running back that much. You just can't.
Listen, guys, I love what Gallman's been doing, but
yeah,
I will bet on it right now. No team is going to throw him starting running back money next year. I'm sorry. I just don't see it.
If the great running backs don't get the contract, then he's certainly not going to get it.
Right? Exactly.
But he may take a contract,
Yeah, it depends.
He might get $8 million somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Michael Stewart, you think he's going to stay?
These guys are hitting it. You can't pay both of them a top dollar, and the Giants are committed to Barkley. I don't think he'll stay.
All right. Well,
Burst your bubble there, Craig.
That was a depressing resolution.
Listen, we all love him. We love Gallman. I hope he keeps killing it.
Do you remember when the Giants had that three-headed monster back in the
Earth, Wind, and Fire, baby?
Right, Earth, Wind, and Fire. They couldn't keep all of them, and the other kid left.
Yeah, it was Derek Ward, and he left for Tampa Bay.
But you didn't miss Ward though. when you had.
Well, you had two really good running backs.
So how did we keep those two guys the whole time?
Well, first of all, you're talking about that was 2010, right?
Well, before, before.
And then you're also talking about that Derek Ward was like, he came over for two packs of gum and
he was
and
a cast
Pepsi.
off. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Listen, this plays to the running backs don't matter crowd. We should be able to find it anywhere then, right? Because if I mean,
1,000-yard runner with the Giants.
You can draft one in the 5th round, and he can spark.
If you remember, so I think he was with Texas, right? The Texans, and they cut him, and he came over. He just fit perfectly with Bradshaw and Jacobs, and that's where the whole Earth, Wind, and Fire came from, because they all did something different. Like, you know, Jacobs was the earth, the pound. You know what I mean? The pound, and Bradshaw was like the fire, because of like the style that he ran, you know, that slashy back and forth kind of running on the sides of his feet. And Derek Ward was just smooth, man. Like, he just came in like the breeze and blew through, and they all, you know, got enough carries to have Michael Stewart. Both of them ran for 1,000 yards that year.
That's right.
Yeah,
and they all ran behind a hell of an offensive line too, huh?
That's
true. Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. We had a great offensive line, and you know, those two guys, there was nobody selfish on that team. Like, they were, you know, they were good enough that they were going to the Super Bowl, or they're on their way to the Super Bowl. So all three of them just went at it like, I'll take 15 carries, you'll take 8, the next guy takes 16. Like, they all kind of went at it together. I mean, Derek Ward was definitely the odd man out at the end of the year, because they kept Bradshaw and Jacobs, you know, and Derek went to Tampa Bay, and, you know, and never really,
which was the right move. They made the right move.
Yeah.
Well, listen, none of them were making top 3 running back money, which unfortunately we made that bed when we drafted Barkley number 2. So the money going to that position is what it is right now. So it's going to be tough. Throw more at it.
I think there's a really good chance they can keep Gallman, because now Gallman shows that, guess what? I can handle 10 carries a game, and I might break one. And then you can give another, you know, 18 carries to Barkley, or put Barkley in the pass game, and you can keep both guys.
And now that Barkley's been hurt 2 out of 3 years, you need that insurance policy. That's good for Gallman.
Will he stay? You don't know if he'll stay. I mean, they may want him to bring him back, but he may want more money. You don't know.
So let's talk about my favorite topic. Let's get it, boys. All right. I like to call this section Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde. All right. So Dr. Jekyll and Hyde. All right. You guys all know what this is about. I mean, listen, I've come to the conclusion that Evan Ingram is 2 people. For some reason, he starts out, you love him, 5 minutes later, you hate him, and then 5 minutes later, you hate him again, and then 5 minutes later, you love him again. He is literally Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He is 2 different people. I think the cat needs some serious meds. I really do. Like, I think he needs to, they need to pop him a couple pills, so he kind of, so he kind of evens himself out with some Prozac, and he can go slam it. But instead, he's like this. I mean, I've never, and I'm not saying this to make you up, I've never seen a player on such a roller coaster in my life than this cat. No one could go from absolutely the star to the dog to the star in one game. So, but I'm doing this. I'm clapping for the guy because he's catching a little bit on fire. We're starting to see that, he's battling. He's not quitting. He's not giving up. The fumble was terrible. It was weak. Like, someone was saying, "Oh, that was Jones's fault." Like, come on, give me a break. Yeah, I had to block that dude just for even saying that. So my question to you is
reach of all time.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what people do. The nice thing is that you're seeing a guy who, if had some medication, could be a full-time weapon all the time. And I really want to like the guy. It's just, one big play every week hurts us. Spiro, what's your take? I mean, all right, listen, I've come a long way because I usually
you said a couple good words about him. Progress.
You know that dude gets under my skin like nobody else, and then he wears that stupid headband, and it makes me crazy. Spiro, what? Give me something on Ingram.
Well, listen, man. First off, something that doesn't get talked about a lot is that his blocking's improved. If you watch the tape, you're seeing him out there not making a fool out of himself. How many times have you seen Ingram get beat recently? He hasn't. He's sticking his nose in there. He's a leader on the offense. The guys love him in the locker room. And man, you starting from that Philadelphia game where he had that huge drop at the end, but like he's been on fire. You say the second Philadelphia game, which they didn't really target him much, but he's getting almost 10 targets a game, and he's coming in with over half of them most of the time. 129 yards, man. He was a game breaker. You could see this guy getting down the field. He is a talent, and he's just an enigma at the same time. Makes you want to pull your hair out, like you said. But man, you can't quit on that kind of talent, and that's what I've been trying to tell you guys. Tell you, Craig, from the beginning. Like, listen, just stick with him, man. Because who else we got? Like, who else is going to be better than him? He's a top 5 tight end right now with all the problems. So imagine if he comes together.
You know what, Spiro? It's 100% accurate. All I don't want to happen is, I don't want my heart broken. I don't want to depend on this guy and he drops the ball at the wrong time and he loses, because this guy has the ability to lose a game for you. I mean, he just does.
I think the biggest thing with him is he was trying too much on that fumble. Just go down. You had yourself a first down.
Yeah.
He tried to lift himself back up, and that's when he got stripped. He tries to make plays after the catch. He doesn't focus. Just do what your talent gives you the opportunity to do.
You said it, man. What a roller coaster this dude has been on. Like, I've never seen a player go up and down so much in a season, because clearly he can break out. Spiro said it. When you look around at the tight ends of the league, there are 20 teams that would love to have this guy as a threat on offense. And he is that. He's getting better at blocking. Anytime a tight end goes for 129 yards, you need to take notice. And on that play, maybe I need to watch it some more. It looked like the guy just perfectly punched it out. I know he probably should have gone down first.
Too, yeah.
But I mean, it was a good play by the defender at the same time. It just so happened to be on Ingram, who's been the dog for all these turnovers and stuff. But he's a weapon, you know what I mean? And he's ours. And the Giants didn't trade him. He's part of the long-term plans, I think. He's getting better. I'm still on board with him. You just kind of have to deal with the potential one play a game that makes you want to kill him.
Oh, I know. Michael Stewart, was that Evan Ingram calling on your cell phone right there?
Stop the show.
Actually, it was my brother who talks football with me all the time, so he's probably calling me for that. But
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't Ingram calling to say that he's pissed that I don't like his headband.
Am I done right now?
Yeah, give it to me.
For it.
Listen, you guys have said it. He's frustrating. He is very talented, and it was nice to see him run a straight line pass patterns, and you see how successful he is when he does that. You can't have a linebacker cover him. Even some safeties can't even cover him. He does have good straight line speed. And I haven't been noticing his blocking ability, like Spiro said. I haven't. But
that's probably a good thing.
It might be, but he's going to be looked upon this weekend very heavily. They need him this weekend, big time.
It's interesting because the more the weeks go on, I'm starting to realize I don't know if it was Jeff, maybe it was Fresh. I don't remember. Someone earlier on was talking about him being more of a wide receiver. Like, I'm starting to see the wide receiver in him, and I'm starting to think like, okay, was that you, Michael Stewart? I'm starting to think like maybe Garrett's figuring him out a little bit, and they're thinking about using him like to rip the top of the defense off because he can. You know what I mean? Like, so, and then they can get Tate and Shepard, Slayton open maybe in the middle of the field. Like, the strategy, if you think about it, the strategy in the beginning of the year was run a reverse. First it was pitch him the ball, right? Like Fresh. We started off pitching him the ball. He fumbled it. Then it was let's run like 9 reverses to him. Now we're running them vertical, and it's working. So I'm wondering if Garrett's starting to figure him out. What do you think, Fresh?
Garrett's opened up the offense and has improved all year. So I totally am with that. The thing with Ingram, and you said it, Michael Stewart, he's got straight line speed, but like he's another one. He's like a little bit, there's defenders that are a little too close to him. Like his routes, like his side to side, like is not as significant as his straight line speed. And I think he puts up the numbers by default because we don't have a ton of other options. And I still think the bad plays are going to outweigh the good ones. I think if you stick another run-of-the-mill guy there, like, we would probably be better off because of the lack of mistakes. Like, it's just been 4 years of this. Like, how many more years are we going to say, yeah, he'll make a game-losing drop once and fumble the ball once, but he's fast, Like, I don't know. I'm kind of still ready to move on. He's making some plays here and there, but that's my situation with Engram.
That's an excellent, my friend, excellent point. Because here's the thing. Every time that he either catches it and fumbles it or drops a ball, it's on a horizontal route. He's not very good at breaks, if you think about it.
He's not as agile he can't be a wide receiver.
He's not elusive.
That's when you can tell he's not a wide receiver.
Yeah. Like when he comes out of a break, the defensive back or the safeties are on top of him. And he doesn't adjust very well. How many picks has Jones thrown that's been targeting Engram? Probably
60%.
Yeah. So like, I'm thinking, like you said, like, he might just be someone that they use as more of a deeper threat, try to get him open. He probably can run double moves, but yeah, you're right. That traditional tight end, as Fresh just said, that, that horizontal route stuff, he's not very good. I don't know if I'm ready to, I did see a lot of them this weekend. I don't know if I'm ready to move on, but the up and down kills me. Mm-hmm. Jeff, have I tossed this to you yet or no?
Yeah, but you're right. The up and down is painful, but that's, we're a work in progress. And he's still, I know you don't like targets. He got another 9 targets. He's a big part of the offense. And he had one bad play. He's getting better. And I think one thing you can see is he's a good attitude guy. He's not like a diva, like where he's not worth it, a bad dude. He seems like a guy who's trying his ass off all the time.
Wait a minute. Hang on a second.
What did I do? What did I do?
He's got some notes. Oh, wait a minute.
All right, Axel.
Look, this is called diva. Okay?
It's under the helmet.
Whoa.
What was that? A flock of seagulls.
Engram, I will give him a lot of credit, man, because he did play tough this weekend. It was nice. He could have folded his tent after fumbling that ball, but he didn't. He came back and made some plays.
Listen, he's our biggest deep play threat. Slayton's a little banged up right now. Everybody could tell. Like, he's a little off. So Engram is the de facto deep play guy right now.
Matchup wise, he is.
Yeah.
I guess, and listen, you got to give me credit. I'm giving him.
Yeah. Hey,
you're coming. I told you he's going to get hot down the stretch. I'm standing by that.
But again, my biggest thing is that he could have folded his tent after fumbling that ball and stuck his head between his legs, and he could have went to the bench and cried, but he didn't. He came back and he made some plays.
Good heart.
He's trying.
All right. By the way, in case you're new to the channel, this is the Giants guys. All right. These guys are always writing some really good pieces at nygiantsrush.com. We want you to support us, so please subscribe so you know when the new podcasts are dropped. We're going to be interviewing Rich Seubert next week, and we'll get into that because listen, that guy, not only does he win Super Bowls, guy's like the best football coach in New Jersey. I mean, the guy's outstanding in everything he does, and we're going to have him on next week. So tune in, subscribe so you know when that gets dropped. Let's move on to what we started this season at Michael Stewart. We were crying pretty much the first 5 or 6 weeks because the O-line basically sucked from end to end. And what's really super cool, Michael Stewart, is that Zeitler, Thomas, Fleming, and Gates, okay, that's 4 started, which turned out to be 81 snaps, 100% of the plays. Gates got 70%. Hernandez got 30%. So even though there's some mix and match stuff going on, I mean, the O-line's really coming along quickly. That's why Jones is coming along quickly. Michael Stewart, tell me about this offensive line. Is it this new coach? What the heck's going on?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's nice of course, the coaching helps, but these guys are gelling a little bit. It takes time, like we always say. You have a young kid coming in to play left tackle. It's not easy. It takes time. Definitely, Lemieux has lit a little bit fire under this team in the line.
Gates too, right? Gates too.
Yeah, the Gates has been there from day one. Really, a couple of mental stuff he's done, but the kid is amazing. That kid Gates. I watched film on him today, and I love watching him play. He looks like he's been playing center for years.
Yeah, he does.
The Giants, in the last 3 games, they're like averaging 150 something yards a game rushing.
That makes me so freaking happy.
That brings me back to those days of Giants back in the 80s when they ran Morris and even with Tiki Barber. I mean, those were fun Giant teams to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten to the point where it's fun to watch the game again, right?
And
Jeff, are you not having more fun now than you did before? I mean, Michael Stewart's got a good point. You're just winning cures a whole lot of ill. And as Michael Stewart just said, it kind of starts reminding you, you're like, well, it's not flashy, but it sure reminds me of those 80s, early 90s teams. Like, it's not flashy, but we're getting it done. And it's all because this O-line starting to gel.
Dude, it's the best. Sorry, go ahead. Finish up, Michael.
No, I was just going to say that, you could talk about this being a passing league, but boy, if you control line of scrimmage with your running game, everything else opens up. And that's what's happening. That's why Jones looks good, because the running game, they can't key on Jones now because they know the Giants are going to run the ball.
It suits Jones perfectly. You need that for Daniel Jones. He's not a gunslinger. He's a guy who will make accurate throws when he has to. That's why we're starting to play better, because the O-line is doing it and the running game, being able to run the ball against the other team's will. I mean, aside from sacking the quarterback, I think it's the best feeling to watch your team do that, right? On first down to get 7-8 yards up the gut. You're like, you own them, right? I'll be quick with this one, but these guys are young. They're well coached. They're playing with passion. Nick Gates has got to be one of the best stories of the entire year. That guy is awesome. They're playing like a unit. Yeah, man. And more than any other unit, it's more important for these guys to grow together. And the fact that they're young and learning and growing together is such good news for the future of the Giants too.
Yeah. Fresh. What's your thought? I mean, these guys are, like I said, four of the 5 guys are playing 100% of the snaps, even Fleming.
Yeah, listen, they're the reason this team has put themselves in a position. The defense is playing well early on, right? And we're still losing. And the offensive line is the reason. They've catapulted the running game. They've gotten Jones comfortable. And they've gotten us an identity, right? And just think about it. A few months ago, we weren't saying Andrew Thomas was a bust because we all said it's early. He looked lost. And at that moment, I went from a Gettleman supporter and defender to somebody who was like, you know what? I'm ready to move on. Let's get Nick Caserio in here, right? We were looking at new GMs. And now we said, you know what? If the offensive line and DJ finish the year, that saves his job. And that's happening. So I'm back on the DG bandwagon here because these kids are playing, man.
Yeah, and I think Lemieux really helps Thomas out. And by the way, I know Spiro's probably watching some all 22. Spiro, how many pancakes are you seeing? I saw Thomas throwing some dudes around, man.
Well, Thomas and Gates. Watching Gates finish plays is just. It's like you eat your popcorn because he's going to mash people into the ground and he's going to just stick in their faces, and he does not care. So these guys are bullying people around, but like these guys have said, it's been Andrew Thomas's turnaround has been phenomenal. He's not getting beat inside anymore. He's not self-corrected. Whoever's taught him, Judge, Colombo, Googs, I don't know who did it, but they fixed him. He's looking like his number 4 pick self, and he's been the linchpin. Once you get Fleming's ass out of there, this line's really going to take off because, he almost lost that game single-handedly last week. I'm sick of Fleming. Get Pert in there, and you're going to have yourself I'm not getting crazier, but that's a top 10 unit right there. If they keep going the way they are.
Write that down.
Write it down. Top 10 unit.
Wait, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have to say something at the Spiro. I was thinking this. When was the last time the Giants had 2 Pro Bowls on the offensive line?
Oh,
you know the answer?
2000.
I don't know the year.
Yeah,
I don't know the year, but it was O'Hara and Snee.
Right. O'Hara and Snead. Jeff, write this down. I think the Giants, this offensive line, you throw Burton there, I think you're going to see multiple Pro Bowlers at one point next couple of years.
I like it. I like
I probably won't have this notebook in a couple of years, but I'm storing that up here.
Stand up there.
Jeff, don't get rid of the notebook, man.
But hey, listen.
I don't use it for work anymore, so it's just hot takes now.
Would you, in a million years, after seeing games 1 through 3, thought that we're in the top half of the league rushing now, top half, and climbing every week? It's just been beautiful.
It's beautiful.
To watch.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
brings a tear to my eye.
I'll tell you what you guys should do when the show is over. Spirit, you probably saw it, but last play of the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all right. So I knew Spiro saw it. Last play of the
Jacked
game, Colt McCoy goes to kneel on the ball, right? You know, there's nobody blocking, there's nobody hitting, there's no one doing anything. You're kneeling on the ball. The game's over. I don't know if it was the inside linebacker or the outside linebacker. He kind of comes in and kind of jumps up and gives the guard on that side.
It was Hernandez, I think, at the time.
Yeah, it was Hernandez at the time. Gives him a little smack, like, and kind of tries to like wedge himself in there. So the whistle blows, and they're all standing there. And Gates makes it a point to kind of weave through the crowd a little bit and starts yelling at the guy. I can only imagine what he's saying, but you have to see it because the game's over and they're just standing there. And Gates is like, "Whoa, you don't go do that on my offensive line and my QB." Like,
love it.
It was like a staple on what Gates brings to the table. He is not taking any crap from anybody. I got, as Michael Stewart just said, like, man, and Spiro, man, this dude, he's the real deal. He wants to play ball.
Well, Lemieux's the same though. He wants to knock people's heads off. And even Hernandez, they got some mean bullies up in the middle. I like to see it.
I love it. I retweeted a clip today of Gates. Gates is looking for people to hit.
Oh yeah.
Like he got his block off and then he turned to his head. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna hit this guy."
He wants to eat.
That's what good centers do.
Yeah, getting to the next level. All right, so look, somebody mentioned it. And like, hey, look, there's a ton of things we could talk about, but we need to mention something that, Michael Stewart just said. That's why we keep Michael Stewart here, because he knows everything. We always lean on him for all the good knowledge. Let's, for a second, guys, talk about two things and humor me for a second. I hate the Pro Bowl. I don't watch it. I don't care who makes it and all that good stuff. This year, I completely am enthralled by it for numerous reasons. One is we started this season off and we were looking really bad. Here we are at week 12, and we've got 5, 6, maybe 7 guys. Now, I doubt 7 guys go to the Pro Bowl, but like we've got 7 legit players that could be in the running to go, deserve to go, and that have been balling. I mean, just balling. They are at the top of their position in what they do. So I don't care about the 2020 shenanigans that we're going to have with like tug of war and who can jump over a puddle of mud. But like, the acknowledgement for these guys is huge. It's an acknowledgement of Judge bringing in Graham, and it's an acknowledgement to what Graham has done in such a short period of time. Because the first 4 games, we were all like, what the heck is going on? Like, we're almost losing every game. Oh no, we are losing every game. Now, each week that goes, something crazy is happening. So let's talk Pro Bowl. You've got Logan Ryan, Blake Martinez, Bradbury, Delvin Tomlinson, Leo, Williams, Dixon, Gano. Who else am I missing?
You got it all. I'm pretty sure.
That's it.
Nailed it.
That's the 7.
I thought there was one more.
I mean,
Peppers.
For a 4-7 team, that's a pretty good amount of people right there.
Yeah. So Spiro, I'll start with you. Like, Spiro, do any of these guys, make it? Who deserves it? And like, again, you can put aside the Pro Bowl. I don't think anybody cares. But knowing that, like, where we've come in such a short period of time, it's nice to see these guys get acknowledged.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Martinez, Bradbury, and Logan Ryan, and even, Leonard Williams too. I mean, those seem like 5 or 4 locks, like right there, Peppers is going to take a lot for the Giants to get 2 safeties in. Although, I mean, if you're just strictly going on what he's done over the past 5 games, he's looked like a damn All-Pro, let alone a Pro Bowler. I mean,
well,
he
Spiro,
keeps ascending at that.
Logan Ryan right now is number 1.
Oh yeah, he's like pretty much close to a lock there. I mean, Bradbury should be a lock. He's playing like a top 3 corner. Leonard Williams, other than Aaron Donald, he's been the most productive defensive tackle in the game right now, like from a sack standpoint.
Yeah.
So like, those guys should be 3 locks. Martinez is acting like a madman in the middle. He might not get it because of, he doesn't have the interceptions and maybe sacks.
Man,
but he's borderline.
People
he's right there too.
People, if you're listening to the Giants guys, make sure Martinez
Go out and vote.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Yeah, no, you're right on. Listen, here's the
non-supporters for Martinez, vote for him.
Yes.
Yeah. Here's the thing, people. The Packers said he never made the Pro Bowl for us. He wasn't great. We know he's fantastic. He's, as Jeff and I have been saying this for weeks,
Make
right?
the Giants defense great again.
As
vote Martinez.
Write it down.
Make some hats.
It's Martinez as advertised. He's exactly what we said. I've been on this train since the summertime. People, make sure that cat goes to this. Okay, yeah, he missed. I think he's 4th or 3rd in tackles right now. But either way, that cat has to go. Show the Packer fans what they lost. He's got to go. Vote. Fresh, what do you got for me?
So this is without really dissecting like the rest of the league and the depth at each position, but just based on their play. I don't think it's like, I don't care that much about it. Like you asked, like, should we care? Like probably
cares.
Not really, but this is who I think deserves it. James Bradbury, Blake Martinez, Logan Ryan, Leonard Williams, Graham Gano, and Jabril Peppers. Cause I think that he's been that solid the last stretch of games. Whereas early on he was a little injured.
Michael Stewart.
Well, look, a long time ago, before I'm kind of like jumping here, before Andy Reid became Kansas City Chiefs head coach, they had a horrible record, but they had the most Pro Bowlers that year. So it's not really crazy to see the Giants have so many guys being represented for the team. So I can't argue. All those guys you mentioned have played very well this year, and they should have consideration. All of them, even Dixon, the punter. My gosh, he's been averaging like 46 yards or something like that. So, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think they're having a Pro Bowl this year, right? There's no game, right?
Yeah, no game.
Right. So it doesn't matter.
Skills and drills, what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, skills, right. So, but it's a nice thing. It's these guys, for money-wise, they're going to get nice little bonuses if they get it on the team. That's nice for them. But other than that, it's no big deal.
Jeff, isn't this an acknowledgement of what Graham has done?
That's what I was going to say. I mean, they're all on the defense or special teams side, but I had the same exact list that Mikey Fresh just ran off of the guys. If Bradbury doesn't get in, if Bradbury and Blake don't get in, it's criminal. I think the Eagles team that had a bunch of Pro Bowlers was probably an exception because I don't know if they're going to let 7 guys go on a team that's probably 6-10, right? Something like that. That would be, but a lot of these guys deserve it. Like, how can you look at what Leonard Williams has done and say he's not one of the best in the business? Because he is. The guys are playing together. What these coaches have done is unbelievable in such a short time frame. It's so encouraging for the future. Logan Ryan is my dude. I mean, I don't think he gets in. I think a couple of these guys get squeezed out. Peppers probably gets squeezed out, even though he's playing like a baller. But Bradbury and Blake, for me, should be locks.
Yeah, and we can move on. But I actually think that when it comes down to it, you're going to get Blake maybe as an alternate, but Blake, Bradbury, and Logan Ryan's already run away with the category. So I think the guy that's on the outside looking in is Tomlinson. Also, definitely. and I'll move on with this last statement. What I realized after listening to you guys talk about Leonard Williams, what I think is that I think Graham makes him a better player.
Oh, no
like
doubt.
I just right.
Makes everyone better.
I'm going to say, but I'm going to say this. Like, so, I'm not sure Leonard Williams wants to move on and then be mediocre. I got this like sneaky feeling. I'm not saying I have any inside source. I'm just saying, like, he's playing his best ball. Like, this year is the best year he's had in the NFL.
Without an edge rusher.
Yeah, because he's getting no, but you're right, Spear. He's
Get an
getting
edge rusher,
outside,
and he's going to be crazy.
he's getting outside snaps and inside snaps. I think the guy on the outside is Tomlinson from a Pro Bowl perspective and maybe from being re-signed. I see that coming. All right, so we're kind of counting down.
Hold on, Stuart, what you got to say? I know he's been waiting to say something.
Well, I just want to say that all these non-Gettleman supporters, if Bradbury, Martinez, and Ryan get in, when was the last time a GM signed 3 free agents and they made the Pro Bowl?
I thought you would know the answer to that.
2016,
1972, Miami Dolphins.
2016 with Vernon, Jackrabbit, and Snacks. No.
Yeah, I don't know if Vernon made it, but either way.
Yeah, Snacks never made the Pro Bowl with the Giants.
Solid players though.
So,
solid as hell though.
I mean, you got to give
Vernon sucked.
Vernon due. You got to give him
Vernon
his due.
sucked. Jackrabbit's still playing ball.
And in fact, if you want to just let's tie this into a nice bow. We've said it last week with Lawrence Tynes when we had him on, and it's worth noting before we move on. The entire starting defense is beside the 2 tackles are free agents. Okay, not 3. You're talking about Yadam and Fackrell and Leonard Williams and Peppers and Logan Ryan and Bradbury and Martinez. The entire defense was signed by Gettleman. So, like, listen, you can hate the old man and his crazy stand-up comedy all you want. That guy signed 8 starting players on the defense that literally is balling out. So, like, I don't even know, like, maybe he's not good at the draft. Maybe, I don't know. But let me tell you what he is good at. He brought in Antrell Roll and Plaxico Barris and Antonio Pierce for our Super Bowls because he was the head of player personnel. He's doing the same damn thing now.
Yeah.
All right, people. He doesn't have like 6 Super Bowl rings for nothing, right?
That's true. Right.
So, all right, let's move on to what we have that's kind of like the, weighing, on our shoulders is the Seattle Seahawks. It's a game coming up. We can be brief here, guys, because there hasn't been really much talk about it because our starting quarterback is kind of down and out. So the expectations are a little bit smaller. But I'm sure Joe Judge is preparing these guys, like it was the Super Bowl. Mikey Fresh, what's your thoughts on playing Seattle? Do they have a shot to win? What's the key? Any quick keys to the game?
Hey, it's a long shot, but anything can happen, right? I think the key to the game is going to be the matchup between Bradbury and Metcalf. I think Metcalf is unbelievable, and can we slow him down? Because watching Seattle Monday night against the Eagles, like, I wasn't that impressed. Like, they didn't play great top to bottom, right? And I think that it's one of those games that we're coming off a game where our specials had their worst game, which in retrospect is probably good because now Judge can use that, and our specialists had been great, right? And then they let up the return. So I think we could win special teams. Our defense can keep it close. We're going to have to just contain Metcalf. Bradbury Metcalf's the key.
Michael Stewart, any quick keys? Keep it brief, but any quick keys to this game?
Well, the Giants got to score. they got to score. They can't have field goals. And be honest with you, I don't think they're going to get in their end zone enough to score. I'm not seeing it. I think the defense will play very well, but they'll be on the field too long. Seattle's going to load that box. Giants going to have 2 tight ends to help McCoy out. It's going to be a tough day for them. I don't think they're going to score a touchdown, I'll be honest with you.
Ooh. All right, Jeff, Michael Stewart's painting a very ugly picture about not scoring, and we know Russell Wilson averages 21 to 23 points a game. So what are we looking at here, Jeff?
Well, Michael Stewart is a smart man. This is a completely uphill battle. This was already probably one we all notched as a loss preseason, and we would have done so if Daniel Jones was 100% healthy anyway, if we were picking games, right? Like, we would have looked for a competitive game and to see something from the Giants. But, our defense held Cincinnati to only 155 yards of offense. that was the best since 2010. And I know it was a backup quarterback, but that's still an NFL team that has 3 good wide receivers. So the defense, Bradbury has his hands full like he never has before. Metcalf is an absolute freak. And if then we're relying on Yadam to shut down Tyler Lockett, I don't see it happening. Russ is going to find that matchup, and Russ is too good, right? I think he's top 3 in my eyes in the league. I think if we have a chance, 2 things need to happen. Seahawks need to like completely take us lightly, and we need to surprise them, punch them in the mouth early in the game. A huge, maybe defensive touchdown or a special teams play. It's going to take something like that for us to have a chance in the second half. And the other thing is Colt McCoy would have to play way better than anybody is expecting, because Michael Stewart's 100% right. They are going to make his life miserable. They are going to stack the box. They're going to make him beat them. And if it's the Colt McCoy we saw last week, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, Spiro, I'm a little bit kind of concerned that too, that like, I think Colt can manage the game, but stacking the box and keeping Gallman in check, Colt McCoy's not going to beat you. So where do we even score a touchdown? Because like I said, Michael Stewart just basically said we're throwing donuts. So what are we doing here?
Well, let's first look at the Seattle defense, and let's realize that this is not your typical
Legion
Seattle
of Boom
defense. Yeah, like they're one of the worst in the league. If they're literally they have the most yards against per game. Like you could stack the box all you want. Their secondary is not good. Their Carlos Dunlap hasn't practiced all week. He's going to miss the game. It looks like he's their best pass rusher, and he just came over there a couple games ago. They do not have much talent. Listen, Bobby Wagner,
and Adams at the back.
They got Adams.
They got Wright.
They got Wright. They got three to four good players there, but they can be had. The offensive line still needs to block. Colt McCoy can't make mistakes. That's really what it comes down to. And the defense listen, Colt McCoy is not going to take chances. He's not that kind of quarterback. He's going to play conservative.
We're not going to win. We're not going to win then. Yeah.
Well, listen, no, they got to hope to play ball control. They got to dunk their way down the field and hope they win like a ugly 20-17 game. Listen, I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but that's the key to getting the game. That's how it happened. And listen, momentum is a tricky thing. They got tons of momentum right now. Judge is going to coach them up. We're going to see if these coaches can earn their paychecks this game, because we're undermanned here. We're clearly undermanned going to Seattle. Let's see if the coaches could coach this up.
The X factor here, it's interesting, is always Russell Wilson, because here's what happens. They just, as Mikey Fresh just said, they didn't really play great against Philly, right? They weren't very impressive. But here's what happens is the Giants get a defensive pick, and a score, right? A field goal, and you're winning 10-0, and there's 5 minutes left in the game, and Russell Wilson just takes the team on his back and he scores, and he by himself, and he wins. Metcalf or not, Russell Wilson will win you a game by himself. That's the sad part, is the Giants defense is flying high with all this momentum, right? You still gotta beat Russell Wilson's, which is not a lot of teams are big.
Think about what Spiro said. Their defense has been had all year, and yet they're still a top 5 team because of Russ.
Their defense has been better lately, though.
They're getting better.
Sacks last week against the Eagles.
Well, that Philadelphia defensive line is just horrific.
The Phillies.
Offensive line. It's just not great. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. Hey, thank God there's no crowd though. That's all I gotta say. If there's ever a time to go up to Seattle
no 12
and not worry about a crowd, it's now, man.
Look for Adams to have a good game for them.
Kind of a little bit of a New York thing. All right, well, listen, you're listening to the Giants, guys. We appreciate you, checking us out, hanging out with us. Last week we had Tynes on. If you haven't checked out that podcast, he's always got some really good hot takes, so check that out. We're gonna have Rich Seubert on next week. Seubert. I'm going to ask him how to pronounce his name. I hope he doesn't pound me in the ground like a nail. Listen, that guy's story, if you don't know his story, his story is unbelievable, especially when he fractured his leg and still came back to be should have been a Pro Bowler, but 2-time Super Bowl winner. Just his story is fantastic. We're going to have him live next week. So check us out. nygiantsrush.com. Check these guys out. We got Java with Jones in the film room, the Coach's Corner, Pilgrim's Point. We got all this great stuff for you guys, banging it out because we love you guys. We love the Giants. And, you know, like I had, you know, we like to entertain you and like make fools of ourselves every single time we're here. Again, tune in, nygiantsrush.com, and check these guys out. Giants guys, we're OUT out. Peace.